This video is sponsored by Card Trader, a global marketplace where you can buy and sell TCG cards like the Pokemon trading card game. Please use my code POPNIGHT24 at checkout where you can get 5% off your first purchase. A link will be in the description below. Thank you again to Card Trader for sponsoring this video. Hey guys, in today's video, I'll be showcasing Lillie's Clefairy EX from the Journey Together expansion set. Lillie's Clefairy EX is unique mainly because of its ability, Fairy Zone. This basically makes any of your opponent's Dragon-type Pokemon weak to Psychic-type attacks. As of right now, this ability can be quite useful against Dragapult EX or Raging Bolt EX matchups. Having one copy of this in any deck would definitely be a good tech against these Dragon-type meta decks. But today, I wanted to showcase it as a standalone using all of Lillie's Pokemon that are available to us right now. Lillie's Clefairy EX also has a pretty decent attack for 1 Psychic and 1 Colorless Energy. Full Moon Rondo deals 20 plus damage and 20 more damage for each bench Pokemon in play, both yours and your opponent's. To power up its attack, I'm depending more on Crispin, which allows you to search your deck for up to 2 basic energies of different types. You put the first one into your hand and you can attach the second one to one of your Pokemon. There are a few ways to increase Clefairy's attack, but one way is by expanding our bench, which is why I have Cornerstone Ogerpon EX in this build, because it is a Terra Pokemon. And by having this in play, this will activate Area 0 Underdepth Stadium card, which will allow you to accommodate 8 Pokemon on your bench instead of the usual 5 Pokemon. And really, depending on either player's board state, this attack can deal anywhere from 20 damage to upwards of 340 damage. But that maximum damage only happens if both players expand their bench and are fully filled with Pokemon. And aside from just using your item cards to set up your Pokemon, you can also use Lillie's Comfey as a way to fill up your bench because it has 2 attacks. The first one is Inviting Flowers. For Colorless Energy, you can search your deck for any number of basic Lillie's Pokemon and put them onto your bench. So this can help fill up your bench with more Pokemon. And its second attack is Fade Out. For Psychic Energy, it deals 30 damage, and you also put this Pokemon and all attached cards into your hand. I really just wish its attack was a little more powerful, but unfortunately it's not even enough to knock out Dreepy even when we're hitting for weakness with Lillie's Clefairy EX in play. For our next Pokemon, we have Lillie's Ribombee. This is a way that you can force your opponent to fill up their bench with Pokemon thanks to its Inviting Wink ability. When you play this Pokemon from your hand to evolve one of your Pokemon during your turn, you may have your opponent reveal their hand and you put any number of basic Pokemon you find there onto their bench. This ability can be helpful, but there are times you wouldn't really want to set up your opponent's Pokemon onto their bench, especially if it helps your opponent skip the cooldown period before they can evolve a Pokemon they just put into play. And not only that, its pre-evolution Lillie's Cutiefly is such a liability, having only 30 HP. But what makes Lillie's Pokemon even more unique is with the help of Lillie's Pearl. If the Lillie's Pokemon this card is attached to is knocked out by damage from an attack from your opponent's Pokemon, that player takes 1 fewer prize card. So this basically makes Lillie's Clefairy EX a powerful 1 prize attacker. As for the other cards worth noting, since we are playing a Terra Pokemon, I will be using Noctowl with the Jewel Seeker ability. If you have a Terra Pokemon in play, if you evolve one of your Pokemon with this from your hand, you can search your deck for up to 2 trainer cards. And as for my spec card of choice, I'll be using Maximum Belt. Attacks used by the Pokemon this card is attached to will do 50 more damage to your opponent's active Pokemon EX. And as for my emergency late game attacker, I also have Blood Moon Ursaluna EX. As a standalone, Lillie's Clefairy EX is not half bad, although its ability is so limited to its usability, since it only affects Dragon-type Pokemon. But since Dragapult EX and Raging Bolt EX are among the top tier meta decks in the current format right now, it's sometimes helpful to have one of this Clefairy in your deck to counter those matchups. Overall though, Lillie's Clefairy EX is a decent attacker, and turning it into a single price attacker is really awesome thanks to Lillie's Pearl. One downside I saw while testing out this deck is that Lillie's other Pokemon like Ribombee or Comfey doesn't really help out Lillie's Clefairy EX at all, so I would suggest just leaving them out or replacing them with other Pokemon. Anyways, that's pretty much it. You can find the complete deck list in the description below, and now please enjoy the following gameplay videos showcasing Lillie's Clefairy EX and friends. Before we get into the video, I have a small request. If you're liking the content I create, please leave a like to this video and please support this channel by subscribing if you haven't already. This is a small click for you, but for me, it means a lot. Thank you so much for all of your support. Alright, on to our first match. My opponent actually won the coin flip and they let us go first. And we're starting with Lillie's Cutiefly in the active spot. And the bad thing is we can't set up any other basic Pokemon on our bench. And Cutiefly only having 30 HP, if my opponent can attack on their first turn going second, we're pretty much done for. All we can do is just attach an energy, end our turn, and hope for the best. So my opponent will start with Larvitar in their active. They will play Dunsparce. And with Buddy Poffin, they're going to set up 2 more Pokemon on their bench. And they're going to go for Badoo and another Larvitar. They also have Town Store, which allows them to search their deck for a tool card. They're going to use Iono. Okay, we got other basic Pokemon to set up next turn, but I just hope my opponent doesn't knock us out here. And they're going to set up another Dunsparce along with another Larvitar. With the Town Store, they're going to get Lucky Helmet, attach it to their Badoo, attach an energy to Larvitar to retreat into Badoo, and they're going to use Itchy Pollen, dealing 10 damage to Cutiefly. Thankfully, it survives, but now we're item locked. We got Cleffa from our top deck, which is good, so we will survive a turn here, guys. Thankfully. Let me get rid of their stadium. I'm going to retreat into Cleffa, and I'm just going to Grasping Draw to draw 4 cards. So what you want to do is always leave 1 space for your Cornerstone Ogerpon EX, because you need a Terra Pokemon to activate Area 0 Underdepths to expand your bench, and also for you to be able to use Noctowl's ability, Jewel Seeker. Because if you evolve into Noctowl and there is no Terra Pokemon on your board, it's not going to activate, and you just wasted that chance to get 2 trainer cards from your deck. So Lillie's Clefairy EX is a pretty straightforward attacker. There's really not much to this deck other than just fill your bench as much as possible and then attack for a lot of damage. But for now, my opponent needs to set up into their Tyranitar as soon as possible. They need to evolve into the Dunsparce for them to draw into more cards, but they're going to attack with Itchy Pollen once again. And we can't use any of our item cards to get our Ogerpon. So what I'm going to do is stall a little bit, and I'm going to hold still. Heal up my Cutiefly. They're going to item lock me, but if they want some time, we're also going to get some time. Hopefully, we can draw into a support trainer card. That way we can draw into more cards. But right now, being item locked is pretty annoying because we can't really set up any further. Okay, we got an Ogerpon. That's great. Now we can expand our bench. But still, we're at a standstill. So I'm going to hold still then. So there you have it, guys. I am showcasing Lillie's Cutiefly with hold still. I guess it's great against Badoo, but slowly but surely my opponent is setting up their board while also slowing us down with item lock. We got Lillie's Clefairy EX, but no way to energize. I could just thin out my hand as much as I can and then go for Cleffa, because I can't wait any further than this. We got Noctowl from our Grasping Draw, so that's good. So we have a full bench full of Pokemon. Now we can hit for a lot of damage against their Tyranitar. And sure enough, this is Tyranitar that item locks. And they also have Lillie's Clefairy EX as well. And they evolved into the Dunsparce EX. So this one with Tenacious Tail, depending on how many EX Pokemon we have in play, it deals a lot of damage. It's right now dealing 300 damage, which is pretty... It's pretty deadly. Well, they knocked out our Cleffa. Thankfully, we can use our Flip the Script. What I need is my Crispin so I can fully energize Clefairy. Hopefully, we can one-hit knock out their Dunsparce. So what I'm going to go for is Lillie's Pearl and go for Crispin. That way, even if they knock out my Clefairy, they're only going to get 1 prize. So we got 2 different types of energies. Put one into your hand, attach the other one. And then we also have an attachment for turn. So now our Clefairy EX is fully energized. We just have to fill up our bench here. And I think I'm going to go for another Hoot Hoot. And we're dealing 280 damage. Thankfully, they also have a full bench That actually knocked out their Dunsparce EX, which is pretty awesome. Nice. So we got our first 2 prizes. 280 damage. That's with a full bench of 8 for us and a full bench of 5 for my opponent. We barely made it, but we did. Being able to knock out their Dunsparce EX. So now my opponent needs to evolve into their Tyranitar EX. That will actually push us back if they manage to item lock us continually. But that's why I put Noctowl in play, cause or Hoot. That way we can evolve into Noctowl and just grab our Crispin when we need to energize our Clefairy EX. But thankfully my opponent's only taking 1 prize each time they knock out our Clefairy. And Ogerpon can actually be very useful in this matchup as well, especially if we can block their attacks, because majority of their attackers actually have abilities on them, so they should not be able to damage our Ogerpon. That is unless they use the Dunsparce EX if they have another one. So let's go ahead and evolve into Noctowl. I think I can get boss orders, target their Pheasantipede EX, and I'll get another Crispin just in case we need to set up another Clefairy. So I'm gonna go against this Pheasantipede EX that will get us 2 more prizes. And I'll start to energize my Ogerpon. And we're just gonna Full Moon Rondo. 280 damage, getting us 2 more prizes. There you go. So we're doing pretty good. One downside to Lillie's Pokemon is that the only good attacker is Clefairy EX. Okay, they're gonna counter capture our Noctowl in the active. Thankfully we have energies to help us retreat. And again, they're gonna item lock us, that's fine. And we're just gonna continue to knock out their Pokemon. Full Moon Rondo, 260, knocking out their Badoo. And we just need 1 more prize to win this game. Not too bad. Not too bad at all. Yeah, that item lock at the beginning did give us a little bit of, or slow us down quite a bit. But my opponent will once again evolve into the Dunsparce EX. All they have to do is energize it with 1 energy and they can still deal a lot of damage to knock out our Clefairy EX. But they're also going to use Iono. That actually puts us down to just 1 card in our hand. We got a Crispin, but what we need is to set up another Clefairy. And actually, to be able to knock out their Dunsparce, their bench needs to be full. So they finally got a knockout against our Clefairy EX, but they only take 1 prize. And as of right now, let's see, we got an Iono. Let's go ahead and use Flip the Script to draw 3. Alright, we got Nest Ball. We got our Nest Ball. But again, we will not be able to knock out the Dunsparce EX. But at least we can, I guess, lower its HP and just knock it out later. So let's go ahead and attach Lillie's Pearl to make our Clefairy EX a 1 prizer. And I mean, it can attack, deal an initial attack, but Cutiefly doesn't even attack. Let's go ahead and use our Crispin. So we have 1 fighting energy left in the deck, so we can't use Crispin anymore after this. Unless we recover more energies. And I'm just gonna go with Full Moon Rondo. We're 10 damage shy of knocking out their Dunsparce EX. I mean, I could use Fan Rotom, I suppose, to knock out this Dunsparce. As of right now, they shouldn't have any other Pokemon to knock out our Clefairy. So if they go for an attack with the Dunsparce, they knock out our Clefairy. All we need to do is just attack with either our Blood Moon Ursaluna or maybe even with Hoot. We can win this. But finally, they will evolve into a Tyranitar. with the help of the rare candy. And they are behind on prizes, so their reversal energy actually will work as 3 energies of every type. And they can start attacking with Tyranitar. And while it's in the active spot, we are item locked. Thankfully though, our Clefairy is not weak against dark, it's weak against metal. Oh, and they're gonna use Neutralization Zone. By taking out our Stadium, we have to discard our bench Pokemon until we only have 5 remaining. So I'll go ahead and discard these. So now we have to build up our bench again. Especially this Tyranitar has 290 HP because of its luxurious cape. But we got another Area 0 under depths. Thankfully, we can take out their neutralization zone. Otherwise, we can't damage their Tyranitar. So, at this point, I can attack, I guess, with 220. And then just hope for the best. If they knock us out, they're gonna get 1 prize. That will activate our Flip the Script ability to help us draw into more cards. We just need an energy to help us energize Blood Moon Ursaluna, and then we can just knock out one of their Pokemon. We just need 1 more prize. But they're going to use Iono. And we got an Iono of our own, okay. I mean, that can help us to draw into at least 1 more card. So with the Dunsparce, they can draw into 3. And all of their Tyranitar are fully energized. So Runaway Draw helps them to draw into more cards. They're going to retreat their Tyranitar into a new one. But they should knock out our Clefairy EX. While also discarding the top 2 cards of our deck. So very disruptive this Tyranitar is, if used wisely. We just need an energy here, guys. So, let's go ahead and use Flip the Script. Can we get it? Oh, we can't use an item card. No! No! We got an Earthen Vessel. We just needed that energy. I might have to just buy out some time here until we draw into 1. Let me go ahead and use Iono. We got another Iono. I'm just gonna end my turn. So I'm just gonna stall it out. I mean, if they attack with their Dunsparce EX to knock out our Ogerpon, because the Dunsparce EX doesn't have an ability, so it can actually knock out our Ogerpon. We just need an energy. We can attack with Fan Rotom to finish off their Dunsparce. But thankfully, our Ogerpon EX is blocking some of their attackers' damage. That is from their Tyranitar, because they have abilities on them. So thankfully our Ogerpon EX has that Cornerstone Stance ability, which blocks their attack damage with Pokemon with abilities. So they're gonna go... Ooh, we got Professor's Research, come on. Alright, we got an energy. We only have 1 boss orders. We can't really pick off their Dunsparce EX. Let me just put an energy to... Actually, let me go ahead and use Noctowl for now. Jewel Seeker. And... let's see here. Yeah, we don't really have a lot of options here. Let me just use Super Rod. And Maximum Belt. And then... 3, yeah, we'll need 2 energies to Blood Moon Ursaluna for it to attack, so we can't even attack with Blood Moon Ursaluna. Let me just slowly energize my Ogerpon EX. Hopefully they take out their Tyranitar, that way we can use Super Rod to recover more energies. But, or actually I should have just held off on that energy. Because if they knock out our Ogerpon, we won't have any energies. I mean, if they attack with the Dunsparce, we can just use Super Rod, right? Because when Tyranitar leaves the active, we should be able to use our item cards. But they're gonna Iono once again. Dude, my opponent is just relentless. relentless with the hand disruption. But yeah, we needed that super rod to recover our energies. Draw into more cards. Hopefully we can attack with Fan Rotom. So I'm just gonna wait it out. I'm just gonna continue to wait it out. But they're the Dunsparce EX with 4 EX Pokemon in play. They're dealing 240 damage. So they can easily knock out our Cornerstone Ogerpon EX. Alright, they're gonna end their turn again. And once again, we can't do anything. So this is more of a waiting game at this point. Man, this is pretty annoying, but... I feel like we just wasted our Noctowl. They're gonna go for boss orders. They're gonna target our Blood Moon Ursaluna EX. They're gonna retreat their Tyranitar into the Dunsparce EX. This could be dangerous, guys. If we don't get that energy. Alright, they're gonna get... Oh, they didn't knock out our Blood Moon. Okay. Maybe we can retreat it. We have free retreat. But even then, we still can't draw into an energy. Let me go and retreat into Fan Rotom. Get these set up. And then I'm just gonna end my turn. If I can just draw into an energy, if they knock out my Fan Rotom, that will put us behind, or that will allow my opponent to get one more prize. So all we need to do is just attach one energy to Blood Moon Ursaluna EX to be able to attack. So they're not gonna attack. I'm just gonna end my turn here then. So I'm basically putting Fan Rotom as bait for my opponent. But you know what? At this point, they ran out of cards. I don't know what else they're gonna do. And they're just gonna attack, knocking out our Fan Rotom. But you know what, guys? Despite not being able to attack because of my opponent's very, very effective disruption, we still win the game because my opponent decked out. Alright, good game. On to our second match. We even have 3 Lillie's Clefairy EX. But I'm just gonna start with 1 in the active for now. We also have Fan Rotom, and my opponent's gonna start with Hops Cramorant in their active. Can attach an energy here. I can use Fan Call ability, and I usually just get 2 Hoot Hoots and a Noctowl. I can set up these 2 basics on my bench, and all we need to do is just find our Ogerpon so that we can have a Terra Pokemon in play and be able to activate Noctowl's ability. My opponent will also set up 2 Monkey Dories and Hops Zacian EX. Alright. Clefairy is actually weak against metal, so they have the potential to knock it out. They played Calamitous Snowy Mountain. Alright, I guess to damage their Pokemon and then transfer it with Monkey Dory. They're gonna use Ultra Ball to get Hops Snorlax to increase their attack. Alright. And they're gonna use Insta Strike. Thankfully, our Clefairy survives the attack, receiving only 120 damage. Alright, I'll take it. We have Lillie's Comfey. I'm gonna use Crispin. And then I can attach an energy. And as of right now, we're only dealing 200 damage, so I need to set up another Pokemon to increase our damage. I can attach for turn, set up our Clefairy for our next turn. We will receive damage from their stadium. But thankfully, Full Moon Rondo is enough to knock out their Zacian EX, getting us our first 2 prizes. And it was all due to their own stadium. Because when they attached that energy, their Zacian EX received the 2 damage. So we were able to knock it out. They're going to use Iono, they have Postwick Stadium. And since we have 4 prizes remaining, they can attack with Hops Cramorant for 0 energies. Thanks to their Hops Choice Band, and it was enough to knock out our Clefairy. So we'll replace their stadium. We have another energy to our Clefairy to attack. We can use Iono. And we got an Ogerpon. Alright, so now we can expand our bench here. I'll use Nestball to get Fastendipity EX. They knocked out our Pokemon, so we can use Flip the Script to draw 3. We got a bunch of Lillie's Pearl. Alright. And while attached to Lillie's Clefairy EX, they're only going to take 1 prize if they knock it out. So I'm just going to knock out their Cramorant, get another prize for that. And And we got a basic energy. Alright. So that's one thing I like about Lillie's Clefairy is that you can turn it into a one prizer thanks to Lillie's Pearl. But other than that, testing out this deck, a lot of Lillie's Pokemon are pretty useless actually when it comes to attacking. Clefairy is the only viable attacker from any of Lillie's Pokemon. So they attack with Cramorant, but not enough attack modifiers. They actually did not knock out our Clefairy. So I'm just gonna set up another attacker here while I still can. I'm gonna use Professor's Research. We got Noctowl. I don't really need it right now. So I'm just gonna attack, knock out this Cramorant, get another prize for that. And now at 2 prizes remaining, even if they recover their Cramorants, they will not be able to attack. Because again, Hop's Cramorant only is able to attack if their opponent is at 3 or 4 prizes remaining. Exactly 3 or 4 prizes remaining. So at this point, they either need to attack with Hop's Zacian EX, and it doesn't look like they have any more Pokemon. They need to recover Pokemon. But I'm wondering why they have Charcadet. Are they using Ceruledge EX, I wonder? Okay, they're gonna transfer or switch into Charcadet, and they're just gonna end their turn. Okay, well, I can boss their Monkey Dory, I guess, because if they don't have any attackers, they could possibly just transfer damage counters. I'll put Lillie's Cutiefly in play, and I'm gonna attack with Full Moon Rondo to knock out their Monkey Dory, getting us another prize. So if my opponent holds off from setting up their Pokemon on their bench, we can possibly force it with Lillie's Ribombee. So we have that as an option. Alright, so they have Festinibity EX. They finally are able to set up another Hop's Zacian EX. They're going to use Iono to put us down to just 1 card in our hand. They're going to use Flip the Script to draw into 3 more cards. And they're going to use Iron Bundle. And that will push our Clefairy EX to the bench. And anyways, they're just going to target Cutiefly, so I'll just put it in the active. Because either way, they're just going to attack the active and then target our Cutiefly on the bench to get another prize for it. So they're going to use Insta Strike. That will knock out our Cutiefly as well as our Clefairy. And again, thanks to Lillie's Pearl, our opponent only gets 1 prize for it. So they get 2 prizes for that. But you know what? With all the Pokemon set up, this should be enough to knock out their Zacian EX, and my opponent concedes. Alright, good game. On to our 3rd match. And I think I'm going to start with Lillie's Cutiefly in the active for now. We also have Hoot Hoot on our bench. And I'm going to hold off on Ursaluna because your opponent can actually trap that in the active, especially it has a high retreat cost. And for now, my opponent's starting with Badoo in their active, so they're definitely going to item lock us. They have Jamming Tower. They're going to set up their Squawkabilly EX. I'm going to Jet Energy it into the active. Squawk and Seize to draw into more cards. They have their own Blood Moon, Ursaluna, alright. And 2 Charcadets. Carmine to draw into more cards. They have Monkey Dory. And Palpat to recover their support trainer cards. They're just going to end their turn. Alright, now it's our turn. We got Nest Ball, but no trainer cards to help us to draw into more cards. So I think I'll have to get Cleffa. Thankfully, it's not prized. But now I'll have to thin out my hand here so I can draw more cards. I might just have to put Ursaluna EX into play. Attach this energy. And then I can attach the rescue board on my Hoot Hoots. That way I can draw into 5 cards this turn. Alright, cool. So we got Iono, we got Lillie's Clefairy EX, as well as Ogerpon to expand our bench. My opponent now is able to evolve into their Ceruledge EX, 2 of them, but they're just gonna attack with Squawkabilly EX, dealing 20 damage to our Cleffa. Not enough to knock it out, and they're gonna accelerate 2 energies to their Ursaluna. So, we can put Clefairy into play and Ogerpon as well. Lillie's Pearl to make our Clefairy into a 1-prizer. And then I'm just gonna use Iono. I know that's gonna give my opponent more cards, but that's fine. Even if they knock out Cleffa, they're just taking 1 prize anyways. So we got our Area 0 under depths. Now we can expand our bench, and then... Actually, I'm gonna hold off on that. Lillie's Pearl is pretty important, and I'm just gonna Grasping Draw one more time here. And at least we have an Ultra Ball. We can get knocked out finally. And as long as Ogerpon EX is in play, we can get the trainer cards that we need. However, my opponent actually filled out their bench because they have a Terra Pokemon in play that actually activates the Area 0 under depths as well. So now they have 8 Pokemon in their bench. Dude, I never thought I would be able to showcase this, but if your opponent as well as you have a full bench of 8 Pokemon, you're dealing a lot of damage, which is pretty insane. So we might actually be able to showcase that. But my opponent once again attacks with their Squawkabilly EX. We got Crispin to finally be able to fully energize our Clefairy. Then I'm gonna set up more Pokemon here. Attach an energy. Yeah, we're dealing more than enough damage to knock out their Squawkabilly EX. But I'm just gonna sacrifice these 2 for now. That way I can showcase a full bench from both players. Lillie's Pearl. And here it is, guys. 340 damage with Full Moon Rondo. You saw it here first, guys. You saw it here first, which is pretty insane. I can't believe I was able to showcase Clefairy's maximum potential for its attack. 340 pretty much knocks out anything in the game. Although, you can still attach a maximum belt to increase the damage output even further. But, yeah, I'm just so happy I was able to showcase that. So for now, my opponent will be attacking with their Armarouge. It's a single price attacker. For 2 fire and 1 colorless energy, they can target one of our Pokemon, deal 180. Now with Revavroom in play, they can use the Rumbling Engine ability. You can discard an energy from your hand, and then you can draw until you have 6 cards in your hand. Which makes sense. The more energies in your discard pile, the higher the damage output for their Ceruledge EX. But they have not attacked with Ceruledge EX at this point. Yeah, they have to discard all energies for them to attack with that. I mean, it's a good sniping option, I guess. And there it is, Crimson Blaster. They can knock out my active, but no, they're gonna target my benched Clefairy. Oh, we got a knockdown from our top deck. Even better. Let's go ahead and evolve this. I could boss orders one of their benched Pokemon. We have 1 boss orders left. And of course, Crispin to help us to fully energize our second Clefairy if we need to. And attach this. Boss's orders their Fezandipity EX. And we're dealing 320 damage to knock it out, getting us 2 more prizes. Alright, and we got our boss orders. That's it. That's gonna seal the deal. Although with no energies, we might have to use Crispin. But if they attack with Ceruledge EX, we're dealing enough damage to actually knock it out. So I think we're all pretty much set for this matchup. We have boss orders. We can also use Fezandipity to draw into more cards if that's possible. Maybe if we draw into one more card, energy card that is, We can attack with our second Clefairy EX, but no, they're gonna go for boss's orders. Target our Ogerpon, which is a pretty good move. Ceruledge EX does not have any ability, so they can knock out our Ogerpon, and that's also gonna force us to discard our benched Pokemon until we have 5. But thankfully, we have a bunch of Area 0 Under Depths as a backup. But that's not what we want to set up. We want to set up another Ogerpon. So my opponent knocks out our Ogerpon. I'm just gonna discard these 4, and then we can just retreat our Cutiefly anyways. Oh, we don't have Ogerpon. That's right, we did discard it. Let me go ahead and get Facetipity EX. Okay, this is not good. I mean, I can retreat. How much are we dealing? 260. We need one more. We need one more. Oh man, I forgot. See, we need a Terra Pokemon. I always forget that. But you know what? I forgot about Blood Moon Ursaluna. It only has 260 HP. We can actually target it with our boss's orders. And you know what, guys? We can get our last 2 prizes by knocking it out. Look at that. That was a close one. On to our final match. I will be starting this one with Cleffa in the active spot. We also have Fan Rotom and Lillie's Clefairy EX on our bench. My opponent will mulligan, and we're going against Dragapult EX. Finally, a Dragon type matchup. I've been looking all over for this. It is Clefairy's speciality, thanks to its ability, turning our opponent's Dragon type Pokemon's weakness into Psychic. We're gonna start with Duskull, but we still have to be careful with this matchup, since my opponent has the potential to take multiple prizes. So I'm just gonna set up Lillie's Comfey with this Buddy Buddy Poffin. I'm gonna hold off on Cutiefly because that's a big liability. You can use Fan Call to get 2 Hoot Hoots and a Noctowl, but I'm just gonna set up 1 Hoot Hoot. We need 1 space for our Ogerpon so we can use Noctowl's ability. But Lillie's Pearl should help out in this matchup, since that should offset the price trade, especially if our opponent knocks out Clefairy. They're only going to take 1 prize. So for now, my opponent will set up 2 Dreepies on their bench. With Arven, they're going to get Nest Ball and Rescue Board. They're going to set up Facetipity EX. And with the Artisan, they're going to set up Badoo. Retreat their Duskull, and they're going to use Itchy Pollen to item lock us. Alright. Got another Clefairy. We can't evolve into Noctowl because that will be a waste. I mean, I could just probably attack with Fan Rotom. I'll go ahead and use Crispin. We can start to energize our Clefairy and then attach the other energy to Fan Rotom. And then at least we can take a prize against their Badoo. And that's gonna get us our first prize. And we got boss orders. Alright, cool. I mean, my opponent has the potential to take multiple prizes, so getting ahead in the prize trade is definitely beneficial for us. So they're gonna promote their Dreepy in their active. They use their Flip the Script to draw into 3 extra cards. Can they evolve into Dragapult EX is the question, but with Jock, they're just gonna get 2 Dracloaks, and they're gonna evolve both their Dreepies, alright? So we should be safe for another turn. And honestly, hopefully, it will be an easy knockout for us going against their Dragapult EX. We just have to make sure we have enough Pokemon on our bench to deal enough damage. Okay, they will evolve into Dusclops. Right now they can take out our Cleffa, but we will take a prize if they knock out their own Pokemon. We're gonna use Counter Catcher to put our Hoot Hoot in the active. And with the Artisan, they're gonna set up another Dreepy. And they're just gonna end their turn. Alright, well, we got an energy from our top deck. I can actually just retreat my Hoot Hoot. And I can attack with Fan Rotom again. But unfortunately, we can't use Noctowl just yet. We have no way to set up our Ogerpon. So, I'll just go ahead and retreat my Hoot Hoot. Promote my Fan Rotom. Yeah, I'm just gonna boss orders there, Dreepy. Get another prize for this with Assault Landing. And we got Area 0 Underdepths. We just need that Ogerpon, guys. So we have a way to expand our bench and also to get trainer cards with Noctowl. We just need our Ogerpon. So my opponent can evolve into Dragapult EX if they have it. They just need another energy on their bench. Dracloak. But they could be using Sparkling Crystal as an energy source for their Dragapult EX, so they just need to attach an energy. But can they evolve into a Dragapult EX is the question. Okay, they have Fire Energy, so they have one Dragapult EX potentially fully energized, right? There it is. There's the Dragapult EX. They just need to retreat this Dracloak, or they can just evolve it, alright? Man, Dragapult EX is such a broken card. 320 HP, 1 retreat cost, and 2 energies to attack. It's insane. But my opponent will give up a prize, knocking out their Dusclops to take out our Clefairy. Actually, they should have just put the 5 damage to one of our 70 HP Pokemon, and then they could just spread the damage to get 2 prizes instead of just 1. But I don't think they have the means to retreat their Dragapult's EX in the active, so they're gonna use Iono. Got Mew EX, which is pretty good. And they still were not able to attack. No! That is very unfortunate for our opponents. Can we actually take a knockout against this Dragapult EX? That's the question. So they have 4 in their bench. We have 3. We can put more Pokemon on our bench. Let's see how much we're dealing. 320? That's... That's insane! Alright. I think we got this. Easy knockout for us. Let me go ahead and just fail Artisan, shuffle, and then I'm gonna use restart. We got Super Rod. I was hoping for a support trainer card, but we're just gonna go with Full Moon Rondo to knock out our opponent's Dragapult EX, getting us 2 more prizes. We got Maximum Belt and a Noctowl. Where's our Ogerpon, dude? But yeah, that's insane. For as little as what? 6, 7 Pokemon on both players' bench, we can easily one-hit knock out a Dragapult EX with 320 HP. That's pretty crazy. And that is the beauty of Clefairy EX's ability when going against Dragon-type matchup. But then again, the current meta is very limited to just the 2 main ones, which is Dragapult EX and also Raging Bolt EX. But at least if you have Clefairy, since both those decks are really good anyways, it's good to have Clefairy EX on your team. But they're gonna use Hyper Blower, and you know what? That's fine with me. That actually preserves our Clefairy EX alive, and if they don't boss my Clefairy, it will... Okay, I was gonna say, but they're gonna target Mew EX! That still leaves my Clefairy EX alive, and with 6 Pokemon in play, or on the bench of both players, can we take a knockout against their Dragapult EX? I mean, we have Artisan, so we can set up another Pokemon. Yeah, we'll need to set up one more. So, thankfully, my opponent left their Artisan. We're just gonna get Lillie's Comfey, and you know what, guys? We're gonna take out this Dragapult EX to get our last prize to win us the game. And that's it for the video. Thank you all so much for watching the Popsicleknight channel, and until next time, please stay safe and have a great day.